One of these same problems that I tackled in X-Defiant is happening again in FragPunk, but this time there's absolutely nothing we can even do about it. Hey guys, Nightfall here, and I hate to beat a dead horse here, figuratively speaking of course, but FragPunk is headed down an all too familiar road. The Smurfs have come out to play in this game as well, and there isn't anything that we can do to stop it. Unlike many other games and companies that produce games, NetEase fails to mention anywhere in their terms of use that you can only have a single account, despite the word account appearing 33 times in this document. So from a legal standpoint, the Smurfs are free to do as they please. So instead of me berating those that do this and trying to call them out for breaking TOS, let me just give them a word of caution and sort of plead with them for a moment. And before I jump into that, let's first start by explaining what a Smurf account is. A Smurf is basically an alternate account that someone makes and takes into ranked, plays at a lower rank than what their original account was, and just destroys the competition. People do this for many different reasons. Either they want to play with their lower ranked friends, but can't because they're too high on their main account, which then branches into a whole other issue where now these people that are platinum or diamond or whatever rank they get hard carried to, when they actually load into games on their own in that rank, they just get steamrolled and ruin their teammates' experience because those teammates are counting on having a competent fifth that plays at a similar rank, but instead they get a silver in disguise like he's a fucking transformer or something. People also make Smurfs so they can do a challenge to go from the lowest rank to the highest using only a certain gun or a certain lancer. Regardless of the reason behind why it was made in the first place, it's usually in poor taste and sportsmanship when it comes to the outcome. Many of you might remember the epidemic that took place in X-Defiant with Smurfs and how they ruined the landscape of ranked for many others and basically gatekept the higher ranks, all because queue times for higher ranked players started to get too long. Well, that same thing is happening here in FragPunk, and while I can't say it's breaking any rules on this game, it is still having the same effect. But let me be very, very clear. I'm not saying that Smurfing is single-handedly killing this game, but it is definitely contributing to the problem and eventually going to have the same result. Smurfing happens in many games, yes, but most of the games that you're thinking about right now have a huge player base where it's not as noticeable of an issue as it was in X-Defiant and is becoming here. With a small player base, you see the same players over and over again, thus the more chances you have of running into these Smurfs again and again, at least until they rank up high enough to where you don't have to see them again. That is, until they make yet another Smurf or somebody else's Smurf comes along. This game is slowly losing players, and it's very easy to spot when a silver is going 15-3 and is clearly just better than the rest by a large margin. Odds are it's not a new player that comes to try out the game, it's probably a Smurf. I've witnessed some of the top players in this game do it, and while I have no hate towards them for doing it in this game because, like I said, it's not against the rules, but just know that you're slowly destroying the very game that you claim to enjoy. And it's hard to see it this way when you're not on the other end of it, but it's not healthy for a game of this size, especially in a game that has leaderboards in the game that pay out in-game rewards. Making it onto those leaderboards is basically knocking down other players who potentially deserve to be on there and taking their rewards, just like stealing candy from a baby. Console release can't come soon enough. This game desperately needs any influx of players it can get, which if you haven't seen my video the other day, the console release will be dropping on April 29th, and I highly suggest you go check out that video now for all the information when it comes to console release. But I'll just say it now, if console comes with aim assist like it's supposed to, and then because of that doesn't allow ranked crossplay, the PC scene is going to continue to die off. Right now, at the time of recording this, it's currently sitting at its new 24-hour peak of 13,432 players, which is arguably the highest it's been in the last week or so, but it's not by much, and it is still very small in comparison to the all-time peak of this game, which was around 114,000 players. I don't want to say the game is in trouble right now, but it kind of seems like the game is in trouble, and we should be doing everything as creators and players to preserve this game, not proactively ruin other players' experience on the game at such an early stage where they just want to give up on it. And as I mentioned before, with console release coming on April 29th, if the Smurfing doesn't stop by then, these new console players are already going up against other players who have had an almost 2-month head start, so their learning curve is already going to be a little steeper than ours was. But adding high-level Smurfs is just going to make that experience much worse, and probably make them leave the game a lot faster. I know I'll probably get tons of hate in this community for this, just like I did in the X Defiant one, but someone needs to say it. But if you enjoy the content, be sure to like the video, consider subscribing, let me know your thoughts on Smurfing down in the comments, and I'll catch you in the next one.